Hey guys, Emily Muchanti here, and today I have a video for our intervention teachers who are considering the question of how do you create a framework for a tier 2 and or 3 intervention within your school system, especially if you're brand new and you're not really sure what those components are. I'm going to give you 6 things that we're going to talk about and kind of give you some ideas to consider. And then if you stick around to the end, I have an announcement. So please don't leave early. All right, before that, let's remember to like, subscribe, and share, please. If you have comments, I would love to hear them. Drop them down below in the chat and let's have a conversation. All right, so one of the challenges of a new intervention teacher is the overwhelm. You come into a position, your school may have received some grant funding, you may have many years of experience as an educator, but not necessarily in intervention. And so you come in with this exciting opportunity to create a program, and then you quickly feel like you're drowning. And that leads to a couple of problems. Number one, nobody really knows what you're doing. And maybe even you don't really know what you're doing at the beginning. We've all been there, I understand. But what we have to do is create a program that has not only value and impact, but is also credible and formal to a certain extent. And what I mean by that is all of our stakeholders need to know what it is that we are doing. If your administration is talking with a school board member and the school board member asks about intervention and your admin doesn't know what you do, that's a problem. So what we're going to talk about is how we kind of create that and then share that information, because it's very, very important, not only to your job security in this particular position, but it is really about making sure that your program continues to receive funding and resources so that you can impact the kids, because that is what it is all about. Okay. All right. So we're looking at how do we create a framework? What are 6 things we need to really think about and consider and make some decisions with? The first one. The first one is you have to have an overall understanding of reading intervention. Lots and lots of educators that have many years of experience find themselves being put into this position, and they may tend to continue to do what they did in the classroom, and that may be fine in certain situations, but it's a much broader position now than what was in the classroom. And so you have to have an idea of what are the specific skills that you're targeting, why are you targeting them, what does the evidence say about those particular skills? Because remember, interventionists have a different role than a classroom teacher. In my experience and in my opinion, the classroom teacher, tier 1 classroom instruction, is responsible for teaching the grade level standards. And that's a big job. They have a big job. Within that, they are weaving skills in, especially as they relate to their specific grade level standards. But that is where there's still a little bit of a fuzziness, I guess, into what the intervention teacher does. Your job is not to go in and reteach grade level standards. That's the job of the classroom teacher. Your job is to go in with those identified skill gaps and provide instruction there so that when they're back in tier 1 instruction, they have the skills that are necessary to access that grade level content. The second thing that you need to really have an idea about is, first of all, in reading intervention, there is no one size fits all. So there has to be kind of this look at the overall framework, and it's going to be unique for each school. So we're all familiar with that MTSS framework. We know our tiers of instruction, our tier 1 instruction, core instruction, honestly the most important instruction because it is preventative for any reading deficits. Tier two being that next strategic type of instruction, skill based. Tier three being far more intensive. And both tier two and three are given without missing core instruction. We cannot pull kids out of tier one to give tier two or three and expect them to catch up. Doesn't work. So we have to have an understanding of this framework and how in your school versus a colleague's school, it might look a little bit different because there is no one size fits all. So we have to be creative in how this is really approached. We're also looking at this as from the standpoint of curriculum and strategies. There just is no one size fits all, which means you have to have a really broad and deep toolkit and a library of resources that you can use to do this work. The third area that requires a great deal of thought, planning, and consideration is the assessment and diagnosis of struggling readers. Does your school have a universal screener? First and foremost, so important, because you have to have a way to identify the kids that got it and the kids that don't got it. The kids that don't got it, we have to do something different. We have to dig deeper. We have to figure out what the problem is. And so we have to have an understanding of this assessment, and we need to have some protocols in place for it. We have to understand that that data is then used to actually group students, and how we group students is really important. How we group students will improve our efficiency, which means that we can make a bigger impact in less time and potentially reach more kids than we would have otherwise had to do. So that's a very important consideration. The fourth point to consider as you are working through and planning a framework for your reading intervention is what instructional strategies are most effective for struggling readers, particularly direct instruction. We have to have a really good command of direct instruction. When you are an interventionist and you only have your kids for 30 minutes, hopefully 5 days a week, some of you are less than that, but that's not a lot of time. You are one teeny piece of the overall system that that kid is getting, instruction from. And so direct instruction is one of the most impactful ways that we can deliver our instruction to struggling readers in particular. That means that you have to have a really good command of it. What does that look like with each of those big five? What does it look like in phonemic awareness? What does it look like with phonics and vocabulary and fluency and comprehension? And so having, again, those tools in your toolkit is going to make you much more responsive to your students' needs. Now, the fifth thing that we would consider within this framework is the overall data collection protocols and progress monitoring. And I think that this is separate from that initial assessment and diagnosis, because now we're really focusing in on those kids that we are servicing. In order to create a program that has, again, credibility, things need to be written down. There needs to be kind of a structure. And this needs to be something that is your administrators, your teachers can actually go to and know what it is that you're doing. Otherwise, again, your teachers think that you're sitting in the intervention room eating bonbons. We know this is not the case, but they don't know. So we want to create things like assessment calendars. When are your assessment windows? When are you pulling? And more importantly, when are you going to have data available for them? That is a big part of what you are doing. If we're going to have an impact in tier one, which we've already said is the most important instruction first, the data that you collect can be super valuable to those teachers. And then progress monitoring. How do you know that what you're doing is working? If you're not progress monitoring regularly, not once a month, not twice a semester, every 2 to 3 weeks, you need to progress monitor so that you can make instructional decisions about how your students are responding to that instruction or resource that you are providing. The final piece, this is the sixth consideration, and I think it's probably one of the most important, and it's probably the one that most teachers are uncomfortable with. And this is the communication of what you're doing to your stakeholders. Now, the collaboration and the communication that you have with your gen ed teachers, your special ed teachers, and your administrators is vital. It is vital to the success and the continuance of your program. And remember, those things are important because that means that those are kids that are getting your help. And so one of the things that you have to be able to do, and it feels very uncomfortable at first, is to shamelessly promote what you do. Now, teachers by nature are a humble bunch of people. They are caring and kind and loving. And that also comes with I don't want people to think, am I doing it wrong? There's a lot of imposter syndrome sometimes with that. But this opportunity for you to actually promote and share what you're doing is vital to the success of your program. I'll give you an example. I was part of a district where our intervention was a part of our really small community, our little town, and it was well respected. And you would see updates in the little newspaper from the community. We would be at the board meetings. We would be at the carnivals doing used book sales. We would be there at open house talking to our parents and our school board members and sharing that information, showing your stakeholders what you're doing and the impact that you're having and the growth that your students are making is really important. We don't want our administrators to be running into us, a board member, and not know what it is that you're doing. So we need to give them enough information that they can articulate on your behalf what that program is doing because it's vital to the longevity of the program. And that means that you need to do things like staff development, where you are sharing your data with your teachers 3 times a year. You consider presenting to your school board at least once a year about what the program's vision is and the impact and the results. These are very important because when people know the good work you do and the stories that you can bring about the kids and the lives that you are impacting and touching, that's huge. And it is a little bit scary. It's a little bit edgy, but it's absolutely critical. So those are the 6 things that when you're creating a structural framework for tier 2 and tier 3 intervention that you have to consider. When you're in this job and you're looking for things, I know you're going to see a lot of, you could do this strategy, and we're going to follow this research, and all of that is important. And I think what's missing though is but how do I do it? How do I do it? Give me a step-by-step system to do it. So here's the big announcement. I've been teasing for a while that I've been working on a digital course, and that course is ready to launch. And so I'm going to be opening a beta version of the Tier 2 and 3 Reading Intervention Framework, which is going to be a course over 4 weeks, dripped content with live Q&A sessions once a week so that I can work with a small group of people who want to help me kind of create and refine this course. And so for that reason, because it's a beta launch, it is going to be dripped over 4 weeks. We're meeting live, and it's going to be offered at a one-time introductory price. Now, if you're interested in this, if everything I'm talking to you about sounds like, okay, that's interesting. This is the content of this course. We're going to go into all of this, and we're going to spend a great deal of time talking about it and refining it for your particular school. Cheat sheets, resources, guides, templates, those sorts of things are all a part of the digital content that you will find. So again, if it sounds like something that you are interested in, there is limited spots are available, but I would love to have people who are interested in this join me. And there will be a link down below in the show notes. Make sure that you click on that to be informed. There is no commitment. That is just an interest link. And then starting June 1st, I am going to start pushing that out with enrollment dates and that sort of thing. And if you're catching this video after that beta version, we are going to have this housed in my website available for digital access at that time. So visit emilymuchanti.com and you will see that available there. Okay, I hope that I see a few of you join me on this adventure. I'm excited about it. The goal is always to help you do things that will be helpful to your students. That is the reason we do the work we do. So with that, thank you for what you do. Like, subscribe, and share, and bye for now.